now that we've had a few days to digest and decipher the first trailer for GTA 6, I thought I would come on here to kind of talk about the main things of note from that trailer. I did make about a half an hour long video with my kind of frame by frame breakdown a few days ago when it was uploaded just a few hours after the trailer came out. So obviously there are things I probably missed, and there are other things that have kind of come out since then, but I wanted to talk about the kind of main things we learned from this trailer, starting off with the fact that the game is called Grand Theft Auto 6. So we kind of knew this. We've been calling it GTA 6 since the beginning of time. Ever since GTA 5 came out, we've been talking about when will GTA 6 come out. But you know, there has been some speculation about what it could have been called, and I also made a video a few days ago before the trailer came out talking about my thoughts, and my two thoughts were obviously it would be called GTA 6, or it could be a kind of reboot and be called just Grand Theft Auto, as we've seen with, you know, the Call of Duty series, Saints Row. I think Mafia did it as well, the Mafia games. So Hitman, stuff like that. But I'm quite glad that we stuck with GTA 6. I think that was the best decision. We know that it's set in the states of Leonida, or I'm not sure if it's Leonida or Leonida. It's probably Leonida, come to think of it, because it's based on Florida. Leonida, it sounds closer to Florida. It's not Flo Rida. That's a rapper, isn't it? So interestingly, we all basically knew that this was going to feature Vice City, but the way that Rockstar have kind of been representing GTA 6 is not as a game set in Vice City. It's a game set in Leonida. I'm just going to call it Leonida now because I think that's probably the best. That's probably the closest pronunciation. On the website, it says the game is set in Leonida, home to the neon-soaked streets of Vice City. So Vice City does get a mention there, but I think the fact that they're calling it Leonida, they're saying it's set in Leonida, which, by the way, was something we didn't know before, that this state was going to be called Leonida. We thought maybe it would be called Florida. Some people were speculating it would be called Florida because that's what it was called in GTA Vice City, but I'm glad we didn't go down that route. So it's set in Leonida, and the way that Rockstar is presenting this as set in Leonida, home to Vice City, suggests that it's going to be a big map. And Vice City is going to be one part of this map. Whereas with GTA 5, it was obviously set in San Andreas, not the whole of San Andreas, but we had Los Santos, and then we had a few other smaller areas. Los Santos was obviously the main focal point, and it seems to me with this that they're not solely focusing on Vice City, which means I think there's a lot more that we haven't seen in the trailer to still see. So obviously Vice City is going to be a big part of it, but I think these other areas, these other smaller cities maybe, and these rural areas will be a big part too. And Rockstar also call it the biggest, most immersive evolution of the GTA series yet, which, you know, we were hoping for. We would probably be disappointed if it wasn't, to be honest. The yet at the end makes me hopeful that the GTA series will continue beyond GTA 6, which, you know, I don't think there's any doubt that it will, but you never really know. Speaking of the map, some of the surrounding areas of the map besides Vice City that we got from signs and other things, we got the keys, which could be called the Leonida keys. Port Gellhorn was on a sign, and that was something we saw in the leaks as well. Waning Sands was on a sign. I'm guessing that's a kind of maybe a beachside city or town. Kelly County. We also got Vice Dale County, which I'm guessing is the county that Vice City's in, probably inspired by Miami-Dade County in real life. In Vice City, we have VC Port, which is Vice City Port, VCI Airport, Vice City International Airport, which was previously called Escobar Airport in GTA Vice City, I think. There was also a mention of Stockyard and Hamlet being some other places. So, there's a lot of names there, and also looking at the kind of, when they showed, I mentioned this in another video, but when they showed that shot of Vice City and you see all those buildings and you can see really far out, kind of suggests that the map is going to be absolutely huge. And that's what we were hoping for. So, I mean, obviously we don't know for sure in regards to, comparing it with the GTA 5 map, but I reckon it's going to be considerably larger than that. And going off this, even, there's the length of the beach, the number of tall buildings in the city, the kind of different environments. We had the swamp of the Everglades, we had a kind of foresty area with the Thrillbilly Mud Club, and then we had some highways, we had some smaller kind of local areas, outskirts of the city, we had the city, the beach. There's going to be a lot going on here. We also learned that our main characters, surprise, surprise, will be Lucia and a man who was not named in the trailer, but we believe he's called Jason. This was obviously, the revelation about these two being our main characters was not really much of a revelation to us, because this is something we've kind of known about through leaks for a while now. But Lucia and her partner, who we'll just call Jason for the sake of ease, because he's probably going to be called that unless they've changed his name in the past few years or something, which seems unlikely. If they haven't changed Lucia's name, why would they change his? But they are a couple. It's pretty evident that they are in a relationship, and they go around, by the looks of it, committing robberies together. Small scale kind of liquor store robberies. Where that goes in the actual game will be interesting, because it's not going to be a very interesting game if all the missions are just store robberies. So I imagine this is something where they start off kind of with kind of liquor store robberies, and then they go bigger and bigger and bigger. Although, personally, I wouldn't like to see the kind of the scale of the missions, the stakes, as in GTA 5, if that makes sense. I mean, in GTA 5, they were doing missions for the government, for the FIB, for the IAA, huge missions, involving kind of espionage and stuff. And to me, that just wouldn't really work with what we're seeing, two robbers, basically. But, that's discussion for another video. We see a few scenes of Jason and Lucia. We don't see much of them, but this trailer was very much about Lucia more than Jason. I mean, that's evidenced by the fact that we don't even hear Jason's name in this trailer, and he hardly speaks at all, really. Lucia is definitely the main focal point of this trailer, and I imagine she's going to be, kind of the character the more of the main character in the game, really, than Jason. I mean, if you look back at the first GTA 5 trailer, it was very much about Michael. This trailer was very much about Lucia. So, read into that what you will. One thing I noticed upon my 40th rewatch of the trailer was that Lucia seems very much to be in charge. She is the one that kicks down the door to the shop when they're robbing it at the end of the trailer. She's also seems to be the one leading the way, leading Jason through the back of the shop. Obviously, Jason does drive, but there's also the shot where Lucia is sitting on top of him, possibly indicating kind of that she's kind of more powerful. So I think she's going to be a really interesting character. Whether she's kind of the mastermind behind all this or not, I don't know, but it certainly seems that way, that maybe she... I mean, we know from the trailer that she is in prison at some point, and at another point has a kind of ankle tag as if she's on probation. So, you know, one can assume that maybe she starts the game, you start the game playing as Lucia in a mission, and then you get caught and you get put in prison, and then maybe there's a time skip and you get released on, or maybe you do a few missions in the prison. That would be quite cool. And then you get released on probation, and you may be sent out with this ankle monitor that means you can't go to certain areas of the map, rather than in previous games when, for example, in GTA 4, the bridges are all closed because of a terrorist incident or something like that. And maybe if you go into certain parts of the map, they are accessible, but you'll be instant 5-star wanted level or something like that, which is something I discussed in a previous video, but something that I would really like to see and would be really interesting. So yeah, we didn't get too much about the characters or their stories. We definitely didn't get much about Jason, but Lucia is definitely looking like a very interesting character. Obviously, our first main female protagonist. So this is shaping up to be really interesting. In terms of other characters, I mean, they were very keen to highlight the fact that this state is going to be filled with absolute weirdos, and this is obviously feeding into the whole Florida man thing. We see the phrase Leonida or Leonida man used in this trailer, and I didn't realize when watching the trailer, but obviously loads of people have commented since, that all these videos, or most of them, are based on actual videos that went viral. The woman with the 2 hammers and so on. So they obviously, I think that's telling us 2 things. I think, one, it's telling us that Rockstar, despite all this talk about culture changes and, maturing a bit, Rockstar is still Rockstar. It's still going to satirize America. That's the whole point of it. And it's still going to make fun of people. And it's still going to be wacky and weird and full of interesting characters. And, the whole point of the GTA series is to make fun and satirize America. And what's more American than Florida, really? Florida is, the most American place in America, or Leonida, as we now know it. So that's going to be really interesting to watch. I think, maybe this is for another video, but I think politically there will be some political implications here. I would, like to maybe see you do missions that involve a political nature to them. I'll say more about that in another video, I think, but that's obviously something that's quite interesting. So that was the first thing, but the second thing I think that those videos are telling us is that social media is going to play a big part in this game. A good chunk of this trailer was dedicated to showing us social media footage, and I don't think that was a coincidence. So I think that, I don't know what is going to be going on with social media in this game, but I think, influencers are going to be a thing for sure. And, maybe part of the experience of the game is becoming a social media influencer, or, building up a kind of online following or something like that, or uploading, taking pictures and uploading them online, taking videos, uploading them online. We've seen previously in GTA 5, apps like Snapmatic, which have kind of been used in GTA Online. But obviously GTA 5 was released in 2013, and while social media was a big thing back then, it's even bigger now. And it's taking up much more of our lives now than it was back then. And I feel, looking back at it, GTA 5 probably underutilized social media and the internet in their kind of storytelling. Although, we got that whole Life Invader thing, but if you think Life Invader is obviously Facebook, Facebook is not as big now as it was back then. We've now got TikTok, and we've got things like AI and the metaverse and stuff like that. So things are changing at a rapid pace, and social media is such a big part of life that you know, I think this is going to play a big role. That's what I got from the trailer. Talking about people as well, population density looks a lot more realistic than perhaps in GTA 5. You know, GTA 5, all I hear about Los Angeles, I've never been, or I've never left the airport at Los Angeles, but all I hear is about how bad the traffic is, and the traffic in GTA 5 is not that bad, and there aren't that many people on the streets. And, you know, there are people wandering around during the day, and then they continue wandering around at night, which, you know, you wouldn't expect as many people to be walking around the streets of certainly some suburban areas of Los Angeles at 3 in the morning as you would at, you know, midday or whatever. But it seems like that's going to be something that's taken into account here. But there are, I mean, those shots of the beaches, a lot of people, and a lot of kind of diversity in terms of, you know, body types, outfits, skin colors, hairstyles, just, you know, each character doing their own thing, doing their own movements, really interesting stuff. So, and, you know, I think the AI kind of NPC interactions might be quite interesting in this game potentially. And I'm going back to kind of the freaks in the videos. I think we're going to get some really good kind of side missions, like with the strangers and freak missions from GTA 5. So I'm looking forward to those as well. Usually they, you know, I'm not so fussed about those, but I think they're going to be there are going to be some funny ones in this game. So, you know, how will kind of TikTok and Instagram as well, as I said, fit into this game, and could it potentially be linked with real life? I mean, we know that Rockstar are changing the social club, the Rockstar Social Club. Maybe this is going to link into GTA 6 somehow. We know there's a huge online community on YouTube and Reddit and Twitter talking about GTA, so maybe Rockstar wants to get in on this and have some of it on its social club. Who knows? We'll see what happens. God, this has been quite long already, but moving on to some other things. Animals. We saw animals in the game. We saw dogs. There's a little chihuahua on the beach. We saw dolphins, sharks. Someone said they saw stingrays in the water, which would be quite interesting. Alligators / crocodiles. Something I missed in my trailer breakdown was that the guy on Ocean Drive, is that what it's called, Ocean Drive? Yeah. Has an iguana on his shoulder, which is cool. I did say in my predictions video that I expected iguanas, considering they kind of are known in the Florida Keys as being quite common. Flamingos, other kind of waterfowl, and I'm sure there are going to be loads of other animals. I'm holding out for manatees or dugongs, to be honest. What else have we got? Not shying away from adult themes. You know, we saw a lot of twerking in this trailer. A lot of kind of half-naked women. Things like, you know, we saw the strip club again. We saw, you know, them making fun of sugar daddies, and we saw women twerking on top of cars. And I think that, again, is Rockstar showing us that, you know, they've changed, but not, you know, they've not changed that much. They're still, GTA is still going to have that feeling of GTA. It's still going to be an adult game. It's not going to be for kids. The cars in this game was a big, you know, that's obviously a big part of the game. And this is something I didn't really talk too much about in my trailer breakdown, but the cars look very customizable. We saw a few kind of stickers like Vice Finals, Ride Out Customs, I think. Maybe they could potentially be like, you know, the LS Customs or the Pay and Spray type businesses. But, you know, we saw, and someone kindly pointed this out in the comments, the kind of green glitter paint on the Chrysler 300C, or the PMP 700, I think it's called in GTA 6, previously the 600 maybe. I don't know if it's a paint job. It's kind of really nice, really realistic looking green glittery paint. I don't know if it's a paint job or a wrap. Wouldn't it be cool if we got wraps in the game, vinyl wraps? Maybe that's what Vice Finals is, a place where we get the wraps, and then, you know, Rideout Customs is another custom shop. You know, we saw low riders, we saw cars with huge wheels on. So I think, you know, I remember one of the main criticisms of GTA 4, which, you know, I think is probably one of the best, if not the best GTA game. One of the main criticisms was that really you couldn't customize, you just couldn't really customize cars at all. And GTA 5 improved on that a lot. GTA Online improved on it even more. So I can't wait to see what we get in terms of customizations with cars in GTA 6. I'm really looking forward to that. I think there's going to be so much you can do with them. Even GTA Online at the moment is quite restricted in some ways. I know a lot of people complain about that. So I think, you know, we're gonna see some very interesting looking vehicles. Let me say that. I think going back to Lucia and Jason's relationship, this is something I should have mentioned before, but I think trust is going to be a key theme, and, you know, maybe they get into this relationship, and then I think there are going to be some sort of attempts to, something's going to be coming between them. There's going to be some sort of breach of trust or some tension. You know what? Maybe I'll make another video on that, but, you know, we don't know what exactly. That was just going off by some of the dialogue and the music. We will see. We saw, you know, a big emphasis in this trailer on the store robberies. We also see that kind of footage, that CCTV footage of a alligator or a crocodile wandering into a cafe or something. And we've seen some other footage of a police raid, which, you know, has got me thinking some other things as well, which I'll do in another video. But I'm wondering, you know, with such a emphasis on store robberies, I'm wondering if we will see more interiors. That's obviously one of the main things we want, the fans want from GTA 6, is more interiors, something we don't have a lot of in GTA 5 and would improve the gameplay experience and make the world feel more alive. So I'm wondering if this is a way of showing us that you are going to be allowed to go inside a lot of the buildings, not all of them. Obviously, we would never expect that, but I also think it would be a real shame if you couldn't go inside at least some of those hotels and casinos or whatever on Ocean Drive. You know, obviously they look very, very nice and stuff, but if they're just empty boxes that, you know, you can't do anything with, I think it kind of diminishes the experience a bit. So we'll see. Another thing I think is worth mentioning that we learned from this trailer is kind of the varied weather. That's something we don't get too much of in GTA 5. So, you know, there was some really sunny scenes, there was some cloudy scenes. So, you know, I'm interested to see what goes on there. Obviously, a place like Florida is a place with huge extremes in terms of weather. You know, a place that gets heat waves and then hurricanes. So, you know, how cool would it be if you got a hurricane in GTA 6? You know, suddenly, you know, maybe it's not quite as extreme as roofs being torn off houses, but maybe it's really windy and that makes it hard to drive, and the rain is coming down really heavily, and imagine seeing the palm trees kind of being torn about. I think that would be interesting. And the final thing we learned from the kind of Newswire release, or in the trailer it mentions that it's coming out in 2025, and we get in the Newswire release that it will be coming out on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series XS. No mention of PC, which I suppose is not entirely surprising. Bad news for PC players, though, unfortunately. You're going to have to wait a bit longer. GTA 5 came out on PC around a year after it did on console, so, you know, they might have a bit more time to wait. Potentially 2026. you know, who knows. 2025, obviously, I'm hoping for early 2025, but I imagine that they said 2025, hoping maybe that they would release it early, but giving them a bit, keeping it a bit vague so that they could push it back if they needed to. Although I will admit I was quite surprised to see a release window in this trailer, but you know, I think they probably needed to give us some sort of indication because the anticipation for this game and the demand is just crazy. I've never seen anything like it for a game before, and I myself can't wait. So that's why I've made this video talking about the things that I got from the trailer, the main points. There were other things obviously, but I couldn't go into everything, I'd be here forever. These were the main things that I got from the trailer. Let me know what you worked out from it as well.